At first, nobody notices it. That's how it always begins. The bathroom looks fine. The sink is clean. The mirror reflects light. The floor smells fresh. Everything feels under control. But then, one day, you glance down into the toilet bowl and see it clearly for the first time. A faint yellow ring. Not dark, not dramatic, just there. And most people ignore it. They flush, they walk away, and they tell themselves it's nothing. But time doesn't ignore it. Water flows over that spot every single day. Minerals quietly settle in. Calcium, magnesium, iron, tiny invisible particles carried by hard water begin attaching themselves to the porcelain surface. At first, the stain looks harmless, but week by week, month by month, it grows stronger, darker, more stubborn, and before you realize it, that faint yellow line has turned into a thick, embarrassing ring that refuses to disappear. This is the moment when people start scrubbing, hard, aggressively. They grab bleach, brushes, even stones. They think effort will solve the problem, but what they don't realize is that this is where everything goes wrong. Why scrubbing feels right but fails every time. Scrubbing feels productive. It feels like action. You see foam, you feel resistance, you think something must be happening. But porcelain is not as smooth as it looks. Under a microscope, it's full of tiny pores. When you scrub aggressively, you don't remove the stain, you damage the surface. You scratch it. You open those pores wider. And once that happens, mineral deposits don't just sit on the surface anymore. They sink in deeper. They bond harder. The stain becomes part of the toilet bowl instead of something sitting on top of it. That's why so many older toilets look permanently stained. It's not age, it's years of incorrect cleaning. Bleach doesn't help either. Bleach kills bacteria and whitens organic matter, but yellow toilet stains are not organic, they're mineral-based. Bleach can make the bowls smell clean and look brighter for a few hours, but the stain underneath remains untouched. Sometimes bleach even makes the problem worse by hardening the mineral layer. A real story from an American home. Mark lived in a quiet neighborhood in Ohio. He bought his house in the early 2000s, back when everything felt simpler. The toilet worked fine, the plumbing was solid, and for years he never thought about it. Then, slowly, the yellow ring appeared. At first, Mark tried normal cleaners, then stronger ones, then professional-grade products. Nothing worked. Over time, he stopped inviting people over. He felt embarrassed. Something as small as a toilet stain started controlling how comfortable he felt in his own home. One day, a cleaning company told him straight, "This toilet is too old. The stain is permanent." They recommended a full replacement, nearly $600. That night, Mark sat in his kitchen frustrated, staring at the toilet through the open bathroom door, wondering how something so simple turned into such a big problem. That night changed everything. The moment people overlook. What Mark didn't know, and what most people don't know, is that yellow toilet stains are not permanent unless you make them permanent. Minerals bond slowly, and they can be reversed the same way, slowly. Not with force, not with scrubbing, but with the right chemical reaction. Mineral stains are alkaline. To break them down, you need something acidic. That's basic chemistry. But chemistry doesn't respond to impatience. It responds to contact and time. Why most hacks fail. People love quick fixes. Pour something, scrub for 5 minutes, flush, done. That mindset is the biggest reason stains survive. Acid needs time to weaken mineral bonds. Seconds won't do it. Even minutes sometimes aren't enough. Another mistake people make is dilution. If the toilet bowl is full of water, any cleaning solution instantly weakens. It slides off, it drains away. It never stays where the stain actually is. So even if the right ingredient is used, it never gets the chance to work properly. Mark made all these mistakes at first, and then he stopped rushing. The small adjustment that changes everything. Instead of attacking the stain, Mark focused on preparation. He lowered the water level slightly so the stained area was exposed, not completely dry, but no longer submerged. This one step alone changed the entire outcome. Then he did something simple, something almost boring. He soaked paper towels in a household acidic liquid and gently pressed them against the stained ring. No scrubbing, no force, just contact. At first, nothing happened. The stain didn't bubble, it didn't foam, it didn't react visibly, and that's the part where most people would quit. But Mark didn't. Over the next hour, the chemistry began doing its work quietly. Mineral bonds weakened, layers loosened. The stain didn't disappear instantly, but it changed. It softened, its color dulled. He left it overnight. The next morning, when he peeled the paper towels away, he froze. Half the stain was gone. Completely. The porcelain underneath looked smooth and clean, like it hadn't been touched in years. He didn't scrub the rest. He repeated the process. Why this works on old toilets. Age doesn't ruin toilets, damage does, and most damage comes from abrasion, not time. By letting chemistry do the work instead of friction, the porcelain remains intact. That's why this method works even on 20-year-old toilets. Once the mineral layer is dissolved instead of scratched away, there's nothing left for new stains to cling to. The surface becomes resistant again. The emotional side people don't talk about. It sounds dramatic, but small household problems affect people more than they admit. Mark said later that fixing that toilet changed how he felt about his home. It removed a quiet frustration he'd lived with for years. And that's why this trick matters, not because it's clever, but because it gives people control back over something they thought was hopeless. When Mark saw the results the next morning, he couldn't believe it. Half the yellow ring had disappeared overnight. The porcelain looked almost untouched, like the stain had never existed. But he knew this wasn't magic. It was chemistry and patience working together. That's the first lesson most people never understand. Cleaning doesn't always need force. Sometimes it needs waiting. The ingredient he used? Ordinary white distilled vinegar. Nothing expensive, nothing fancy. Just vinegar, the same one sitting in most kitchens across the United States. People underestimate it because it seems too simple, too ordinary. But when used correctly, vinegar can dissolve mineral deposits that bleach and cleaners can't even touch. Here's where most people fail. They pour vinegar into a full toilet bowl, wait a few minutes, scrub lightly, flush, and complain it doesn't work. The reason is simple. The vinegar never had a chance to stay in contact with the stain. Water dilutes it. Gravity pulls it away. The chemical reaction can't fully happen in seconds. That's why patience and the right setup is everything. Mark's breakthrough was keeping the vinegar in place. He lowered the water level just enough so the stains were exposed, then soaked paper towels with vinegar and pressed them against the ring. The towels clung to the porcelain, holding the liquid where it needed to be. Gravity was no longer a problem. The acid had time to work. Over the next few hours, the mineral deposits softened. The dark yellow layers slowly released from the surface. By the next morning, almost all the stubborn rings had disappeared. For the first time in 10 years, Mark looked at his toilet and didn't see a stain. It wasn't about scrubbing. It wasn't about expensive chemicals. It was about letting the solution do its work. The lesson is clear. If you fight the stain with force, you fail. If you let the chemical reaction take its course, the stain surrenders. But that's not all. Mark discovered another trick that sped up the process. The vinegar works even better when it's warm. Not boiling, not hot enough to damage the porcelain, just warm to the touch. Warmth accelerates the reaction, helping the acid dissolve the mineral buildup faster. He heated the vinegar slightly, applied it the same way with soaked towels, and within an hour, the last stubborn section gave up completely. This combination of lowered water level, vinegar, patience, and warmth is what makes this trick reliable, even for toilets that have been stained for decades. It's science, not luck. And here's the part most people overlook. Once the mineral deposits are gone, the toilet surface is smooth and clean. That's why stains don't return quickly. There's nothing left for them to cling to. Most commercial cleaners can't do this. They promise fast results and flashy bubbles. They disinfect and smell good, but they don't remove the cause. Vinegar does. It attacks the minerals directly. That's why even professional cleaners sometimes use vinegar secretly before moving to stronger methods. Mark also realized something important about maintenance. Removing the stain was only half the battle. To prevent it from coming back, he now pours a small amount of vinegar into the bowl once a month and lets it sit for 10 to 15 minutes. No scrubbing, no brushing, just prevention. The yellow rings never returned. The emotional side of this is something most people don't think about. For years, Mark had avoided hosting friends. He felt embarrassed about the state of his bathroom. Once the stain was gone, that embarrassment disappeared. The sense of control returned. He realized that small household problems can affect confidence in subtle ways, and fixing them correctly restores not just cleanliness, but peace of mind. Now, here's why most people still fail even when they have vinegar: impatience, dilution, and misuse. If you rush the process, if the water level is wrong, or if you don't allow the solution to stay in place, the stain barely budges. That's why the quick fixes online don't work. They skip the preparation, the setup, and the waiting, everything that makes this trick permanent. In the next part, we'll talk about the final layer of this method, what to do if vinegar alone isn't enough, how to deal with extreme mineral buildup, and the professional secret that keeps toilets pristine for years. We'll also cover safety precautions and tips renters can use without violating their leases. Mark's story is proof that even the most stubborn stains aren't permanent. Age doesn't destroy porcelain, poor cleaning methods do. And when you combine the right ingredient, proper setup, and patience, even a 20-year-old toilet can look brand new. This is the difference between cleaning harder and cleaning smarter. Most people never understand it, which is why they buy new toilets or waste money on products that don't work. But with this method, stains don't just fade, they vanish permanently. So if you've ever felt frustrated, embarrassed, or hopeless about your toilet stains, take a lesson from Mark. The solution isn't about force, it's about strategy. And the next part will show you the exact steps, so even the most stubborn, decade-old rings can disappear without scrubbing, chemicals, or damage. By now, you've seen how patience, vinegar, and proper setup can remove stubborn yellow toilet stains. But what about those extreme cases? The toilets that haven't been cleaned properly for decades, the ones where the stain seems layered like concrete. This is where most guides stop, leaving viewers frustrated. But there's a way to deal with even the worst cases, safely and effectively. The first key is understanding that vinegar alone sometimes isn't enough. Extremely old stains develop multiple layers of mineral buildup. The outer layer may dissolve with one application, but deeper layers can remain stubborn. That's when the warm vinegar method comes into play. Heating the vinegar slightly increases the reaction speed, helping it penetrate deeper layers. The process is simple, but requires careful monitoring. Too hot, and it could crack the porcelain. Too cold, and the reaction slows. Mark experienced this firsthand. One particularly stubborn section of his 20-year-old toilet resisted the first few overnight treatments. He applied warm vinegar on soaked towels and let them sit. By the next morning, even the toughest mineral deposits had weakened enough to lift away effortlessly. No scrubbing, no harsh chemicals, just a slow, patient chemical reaction. For the rarest extreme cases, professionals sometimes recommend adding a small amount of citric acid alongside vinegar. Citric acid is naturally found in lemons and is extremely effective at dissolving mineral deposits. When combined with warm vinegar and held in place with towels, it can tackle stains that seem permanent. The process is the same. Allow the solution to sit, avoid scrubbing, and repeat overnight if necessary. This method is safe for porcelain and doesn't damage the toilet. Equally important is water level management. Always lower the water so the stained area is exposed. The solution must stay in contact with the stain. If it's submerged, the reaction weakens. Gravity is your enemy if not accounted for. Mark's early failures were due to ignoring this simple step. Once he mastered water adjustment, even the toughest stains surrendered. After the stain is removed, the final layer of maintenance is what ensures permanence. A monthly treatment with a small amount of vinegar prevents mineral deposits from forming. Some homeowners also add a few drops of lemon juice to boost the acidity slightly. This preventative step is essential because even though the toilet now looks brand new, hard water continues to flow every day. Without ongoing maintenance, new stains can slowly appear. Mark also discovered a subtle but powerful habit. Flushing immediately after using the toilet prevents minerals from sitting on the porcelain long enough to stick. While it seems obvious, many people let water sit for hours or days, especially in guest bathrooms. That tiny difference reduces the chance of yellow rings forming significantly. Professional plumbers often follow an additional step after removing stains. They lightly polish the inside of the bowl with a soft cloth after treatment. This helps keep the surface smooth, further preventing mineral adhesion. This step is optional, but highly effective, especially for toilets in hard water regions like Texas, Florida, and California. Safety is key. Never mix vinegar or citric acid with bleach. The chemical reaction produces toxic chlorine gas, which is dangerous in confined spaces. Stick to acids alone. The beauty of this method is that it's cheap, safe, and effective without aggressive scrubbing, harsh chemicals, or expensive products. The emotional payoff cannot be overstated. Mark said the difference went beyond just a clean toilet. He felt a renewed sense of control over his home. Something he had ignored for years no longer caused stress or embarrassment. Guests could visit without judgment. It was a small victory that had a large impact on his confidence and daily life. Once the stains were gone, Mark kept a small spray bottle of diluted vinegar for quick touch-ups in the bathroom. A few spritzes along the waterline once a week prevented mineral deposits from starting at all. Simple habits like this ensure that even decades-old toilets can remain clean indefinitely. What's also surprising is that this method works on all types of toilets: porcelain, ceramic, and even enamel-coated models. The principle remains the same. Lower the water, apply the acid, vinegar plus citric acid, allow contact, be patient, and repeat if needed. No aggressive brushes, no pumice stones, no dangerous chemicals required. For renters, this method is particularly useful. There's no need to replace the toilet, no risk of damaging surfaces permanently, and no complaint from landlords. By using household acids and patience, you can restore the toilet to a like-new condition safely and temporarily if needed. In areas with extremely hard water, combining the vinegar treatment with regular monthly maintenance is crucial. Otherwise, the stains may slowly return. But with this approach, they rarely come back to the same stubborn state as before. Once dissolved properly, the mineral deposits don't adhere as strongly to the smooth porcelain surface. Mark's story proves a larger point. The problem isn't age, and the problem isn't the toilet. The problem is how we attempt to clean it. Force, harsh chemicals, and scrubbing can damage surfaces and make things worse. Patience, understanding chemistry, and a little consistent maintenance make all the difference. Even toilets neglected for decades can look brand new using this approach. Vinegar, warmth, paper towels for contact, optional citric acid for extreme cases, patience, and proper water management form the complete method. Follow these steps carefully, and yellow stains will not just fade, they will disappear permanently. Finally, remember this: prevention is easier than removal. After your toilet is clean, maintain it monthly, flush promptly, and address any new stains quickly. This is the difference between a toilet that requires constant scrubbing and a toilet that remains clean for years. Mark's experience turned what he thought was an impossible task into a simple, repeatable method. It saved him hundreds of dollars, avoided unnecessary replacements, and removed years of embarrassment. The key takeaway is simple: understand the cause, use the right ingredient, and let the process work naturally. So whether your toilet is 5 years old, 10 years old, or 20 years old, you can remove stubborn yellow stains permanently. No scrubbing, no dangerous chemicals, no replacement needed, just science, patience, and a little routine maintenance. Once you finish this process, your toilet won't just be clean, it will look new, feel new, and restore the confidence that comes with a pristine bathroom. Guests will notice, you'll notice, and the silent frustration of living with stubborn stains will finally be gone.